Hey Dom, long time no see.
Long time no see. How y'all boys been, man?
Good, we good.
Chillin'.
Mm. All right, well, how's Morehouse treating you now?
It's good. I'm loving it. It was my dream school, and I'm getting involved. So everything's been good. Social life's great. Doing a lot sports wise as well as extracurriculars. My best educational experience by far has been this last semester and a half. In terms of the class I'm taking, I'm enjoying every second of it. But yeah, it's definitely where I need to be and where I want to be, and it's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I saw you like post some things on Instagram yesterday. It was something on your story.
Yeah. So actually, it's SGA election season right now. So a lot of my homies are running for SGA Senate spots, or one of my friends, Chris, who's a junior, is running for SGA president right now. So everybody's kind of, their posts are going up right now. So I'm just trying to repost everything that all my homies are putting up. But yeah, it's been busy around here. There's always something going on at Morehouse. Rob, you will
Yeah,
find Nick's out in a couple of months.
for sure.
I hope you're excited.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess sort of just trying to get this out there. Like, what would you say is like the biggest like shift in dynamics? You have like here at Loyola, it's like you have a brotherhood, but it's a little bit different. And then going to Morehouse, like how does that kind of shift between these two spaces?
The interesting thing is they're both all male institutions. So
Oh.
in terms of, Loyola, all boys Jesuit, Morehouse, most predominantly 99% Black and all male. I would say where the switch is you're just surrounded by, our people every single day. And I wouldn't have it any other way, which is why for me, I was looking at HBCU, but particularly Morehouse specific. I would say, I going through my own experiences at Loyola, I needed like a safe haven and just a chance for me to be authentically Black. And this is where I'm at, in terms of, the differences. I think, they say it's an all boys school. It really isn't. Like we literally,
I'm trying to tell people that still down. Yeah.
that's, hey, it's true. I'm in classes with some of my Spelman sisters and some of my Clark sisters and brothers from Clark. So, the AUC it's really four colleges, but we really say it's three. But it's Morehouse, Spelman, Morris Brown, and Clark Atlanta. But it's not just an all male school. Now, I can say from my own experience at Loyola, I did feel like kind of isolated in terms of like connections socially with girls, because we really don't have a close, tight-knit sister school, if that makes sense.
Yeah, not
But
like not
here,
what you're describing.
that's all you see.
That's all you see.
It's cool. But there's a real brotherhood and sisterhood connection here at Morehouse, as well as with Spelman and all the other schools in the AUC. But to be honest, aside from like the actual school side of things, I'd say academically, like I looked at y'all's schedule today because I actually forgot what our schedule like rotation used to be. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm so used to being on my own schedule. But the freedom you have in college to kind of pick your own schedule and line things up is something that is truly unprecedented. Y'all have a 5 period, you go to this class for 55 minutes, go to this class, then you got recess, then you got, 2 more classes, then lunch, then 1 more class. At Morehouse, or I think in general, at least in my experience, you really have the freedom to pick your own classes. Now, the CAF is open at whatever hours, and it's kind of like buffet style. And as a freshman, you have like unlimited meal swipes. But you kind of have freedom to pick your own classes. Now, for me, in this semester, my Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I have one or two classes, and my day will start at 2:00 and at 2:50 on Mondays, and then I go to my race and law class, which is a 3-hour class once a week from 5:30 to 8:30, and then I'm done. And then Tuesdays, I got like 4 classes, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Wednesday, Friday, that one French class, and I'm done. So you really have a freedom as long as you kind of balance your own schedule with with your major, but also, and if you're taking minor, like minors as well, you have the freedom to balance out, your schedule based on your credits and what you need. But also, and you'll find this out too, Rob, is I think it's called degree works. Yeah, that it basically is an outline of everything you need to graduate on time in 4 years. So they'll show you your major, all the required courses like the gen eds, like general education credits, so like your French classes, if you take French or whatever your language is, your science or math, and it'll show you if you're on track to completing those and how many credits or like what class you need to take to fulfill that requirement. So it's just really great and really just open, which I think is cool, because also it helps you adult, if that makes sense as well.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, just kind of going off of like what you're talking about with like academics and this whole, the system that you get to have at Morehouse. Like one thing that I like a lot of like what my parents would say is just like, HBCUs are great, right? There you get to build brotherhood, you get to do all these things, but there's some lacking on the side of like the endowments or the amount of funds that these schools have. Like, would you say that's kind of true, or that's just like a misconception, or like what would you say on that side, especially in like going to these classes, like rigorous academics, like how that side that is definitely like on the side of HBCUs and going to historically black colleges. Like a lot of families, like they feel that, oh, you're gonna be selling yourself short. So what would you say to that?
I would say you wouldn't necessarily be selling yourself short. You just have to know what you're in for. Morehouse is not cheap. It's $54,000 a year. Mind you, it is that price because we are a private institution. So compared to these other PWI institutions that are able to give out so many scholarships and have like 50,000 students, Morehouse is small. We're 2,500, students, and the tuition is high because there's so many things going on, but also we're private. So a lot of things have to be done through the university and building itself up, Now there are issues, like no college is perfect. There are issues with Morehouse. I have my own issues with the college, especially my first year. But it's those types of issues where it's like, you have to fight for them because it's worth it to stay here because there's no other place like it, And it was funny because we had this conversation because I was doing I'm applying to be RA right now, and we had a conversation in one of our workshops about like if Morehouse is worth it, on top of the money. I just talked about the money aspect because in my own experience,
That's
Morehouse, yeah, it is. So Morehouse, depending on who you are, if you have like a bunch of credit, like service hours and extracurriculars, if you're the top of this to the top, they'll give you scholarship money. I did not get any scholarship money from Morehouse. So for me, all I'm trying to do is build through external scholarships as well as, my connections in LA and like just doing what I can to not take any loans. No loans. I'm not trying to pay any loans. That's the goal.
Oh my gosh, that's a tough part right now, man. Like trying to pay for colleges, man. Like thinking about well, I got accepted into Dartmouth, so I guess I
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. But so this is just like just paying for college in general. Like it's just such a crazy experience. Like I feel like I envy some of the kids that are going to UCs or like CSUs sometimes, but I understand like this is an investment in your future, and I get that, but like that's like a gamble almost, like I'm becoming a young adult and I'm gonna have like crazy amount of debt, or I'm gonna be having whatever it is going into college, like that definitely weighs on you as a senior, but I definitely like what you were saying about the brotherhood aspect, and like I feel like another thing about HBCUs that is really cool, and what I felt when I visited Howard, I just feel like you sort of like everyone there is going to be rooting for you, and I feel like that's something that's not like you're not gonna get that everywhere. A lot of people are just gonna they're gonna gloss over you, or they're going to like
See you as a number.
yeah, exactly. They're gonna see you as a number, or they're gonna like kind of just find a way to measure you up to a certain point and then be like, okay, well, you're not going to be past this point, so I don't have to worry about you. You know?
But doesn't like Morehouse? I know it's just like a pretty small university. Like that's only like like 2,500 is
Yeah,
pretty
it
small.
is
So that's like there with certain universities with like 50,000 students, isn't it?
Like liberal arts.
That's the difference. It's a college. It's not a university. It's a college.
Oh,
4-year
okay, okay.
So compared to university allows, you can take graduate programs there. At college, you can't. It's 4 years, or if you need an extended period of time, say you need a 5th year, that's why you take it. But there's no graduate education. That's why it's a college versus a university.
So I'm just saying it's easier to see people as numbers when you have like a 50,000.
Yes, exactly.
Like, and when there's I'm saying that the numbers also probably play a part in that.
So I could take this for example. So at Loyola, your class sizes are relatively small, like probably like one teacher to like 20 something kids in the class, right?
Yeah.
That's the same at Morehouse kind of. So I have one professor and 15 max students in my peers in my classes, which for me also, I don't like being in large lecture settings because I feel like you have to work to get to know your professors
And create that
which
relationship.
universities, have. So for me, I like to know my professor because it's easy to get recommendations to internships, to scholarships, but to have that one-on-one connection, but also, you have a personable relationship. So all my class sizes, I'm actually are benefiting me because they're all small. I can know my classmates. We can all have shared, conversations, and it's a shared space versus you in this, like you said, you could at a university just be a number. You could be in a 230, person lecture class for 3 hours and maybe walk out of there knowing 10 people. Or you can easily escape because people don't really be taking attendance like that.
Yeah.
So for you, it's like, I think seniors in high school need to understand, like, what do you want? Because going to a university, going to a college is more than just the name itself. There's so many other factors involved. If you want to play sports, is it a good sports program? If you're on the education side, do you prefer to take classes, in smaller class settings or a larger space? Like, your 4 years of the university or a college will define who you become as an adult because you're learning how to become an adult. You're away from your parents. You're on your own. But also, whatever you're learning is crafting you into the major or your career path. So you really have to take the time to research and know what you want in a school and find something that matches you as a person, because not all colleges or universities are going to do that, which I think a lot of people just don't know in general. But
I mean, how was the acclimation experience for you between, like, if you can remember, like, I know it was a long time ago, but going into Loyola versus going into Morehouse, like, what was the difference?
it was easier at Morehouse.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I was expecting the opposite.
It was so much easier at Morehouse. I would say, looking back at orientation at Loyola, I think it was hard because my class was just coming out of COVID, so like we were that first year back.
You also had like math during all that stuff.
Yeah, so you could like relate to people, but it was just kind of weird. It was a weird time, but I think it was so easy at Morehouse because I came with 3 of my friends, Ryan Bacon and Chris Anderson from Loyola.
I know.
But also we have, and other people, we had like a huge LA mixer where it was people from California that came to LA. So from Morehouse and Spelman, we got LA Spelman sisters, and it was like a little like function. So we got to know people before we went. But then going out there, it's just like there's all these events during NSO to bring your brothers together, which you'll find out. I'm not trying to.
You're not trying to. I got you.
So I'm gonna just keep it. You gonna see in August what I'm talking about.
For sure.
But let me start with that. But I will say that experience definitely helped the transition and just made it so much easier. But also the fact that like I was authentically myself because I'm not putting on a mask no more, or anymore, should I say? Like, I felt at Loyola, as in high of a position as I was, I still felt like I wasn't truly myself and nobody really knew the real me. However, out here, you gonna experience it, Rob. Like, you can just be yourself. Like, it's it's all your people, bro. Like that's the only
No got
it's
code switch and things
amazing.
like that. Yeah.
Yes, you don't got a code switch or nothing. Like you gonna see people from you gonna see all different versions of black, what black men look like, and the fact that they're all on this path to becoming, Morehouse men. You about to be a man in Morehouse, but everybody is on this path together. So it's greatness
Yeah.
in a whole. Everybody's great,
For sure.
and you see that.
Yeah. Reginald, we should probably switch over a little more about like your whole episode idea was like the black experience at Loyola. Why don't we talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I just really wanted to like touch on, because I can imagine like at Morehouse you definitely have like less of the problems of like going to a predominantly white institution in which you have like sort of the whole vibe like completely changes. Like again, like seeing you as a number, like seeing you as a black student, but that's there's nothing to that. Like that's how some teachers or some students may see that, and I guess like sort of what I'm trying to like, one thing that I really wanted to hone on to, during this is like, what were some of, like, I remember you mentioned, like, you talked, during our sophomore year, you remember that? Yeah. So things like that, like that's sort of where I was like, just like, if you could kind of touch on that experience at Loyola, and maybe some, you get the pros of the whatever, like the high achieving status, things of that nature, but like maybe could you talk about some of the underside, the details of what a black person at Loyola might experience,
So for context for what your first point was,
Yeah.
the reason I talked to y'all was because during you guys' sophomore year, y'all made them little pendants for CY2s.
not me. That was literally me.
And no, I'm not saying it was you. I'm just saying it was y'all collab required. Y'all made the like green FN pendants. And so I remember Mr. Brown, because I was in a future position in OEI at the time. And he came to me and was like, I need you to speak on this. So I did a speech to y'all to basically talk about my own experience at the time and why these further instances keep projecting stereotypes on us and also like racism, just blatant racism.
What was the green? Oh, so what's the green badge?
The green FN. He doesn't know.
Green. I'm not gonna. It's a Loyola podcast. Like I'm not gonna say that, but they'll tell you Suvir on the side if you
Okay.
have questions about it. I feel like I'm just trying to do it.
I think you could. I think the only thing that limits is like, okay, specifically who did it, because like I think people already know, for the most part.
This was like, but
I was just saying I wasn't gonna say like what it meant on level about. Yeah.
you're saying it was like,
Y'all can tell him after.
it was like you're saying it was like a racist like pendant that was like being circulated around school, like people were giving them out.
No, it was like on the shirt. It was on a shirt. See, it was a shirt. So yeah, all kids wearing it. All the sophomore kids wearing it.
Yes.
Oh,
I
okay.
designed like a pendant, and it said green FN on there, and it was like, I guess it was supposed to be like a joke. It was like a part of like the whole whatever like TikTok trend or whatever. So
Oh, okay.
that was like a whole thing there.
Okay, yeah, sorry for interrupting, Don.
Oh, you good. But I also spoke to y'all when I got the Loyola Award in my speech, and I had a section dedicated to all you brothers in the classroom as African Americans about why it's important to not only stay, but also why it's important to just be your authentic selves, because there's so little of y'all, So I felt like in my experience, because a lot of people don't know this, I had death threats by my own class my senior year, because I was the student body president.
I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
And amongst other instances of racial abuse, but mind you, like everybody, when people had other instances, people always came to me because I was the most outspoken. So I remember, I'll take somebody who's not at Loyola right now, but who actually left. I was trying to help during my sophomore year, Nathaniel Penny, who was also getting to Morehouse as my
Boy, yeah, Penny.
So he had an instance on the baseball team his freshman year, and I was trying to help walk him through it and had him talk to Mr. Brown, and then he ended up transferring out because of the stuff that was going on with him. So I've always tried to be there for y'all, because going through my own experiences in the classroom by teachers, by my own classmates trying to tell jokes. It was really bad in Mr. Maslin's class. I remember that. if I can, if I'm allowed to say that. But in my experience, I always try to look out for y'all because I feel like as you matriculate through Loyola, the worse it gets, especially as a black student. Yeah. But I think, sorry, can you bring up your second question again?
Yeah.
Second.
Sorry, Mr. Uy just came in. But whatever. It's just like I guess, yeah, it's sort of like we're talking about like, racial experience, like having to deal with some of this at Loyola, and I guess like sort of that adds on like a little bit of like there's pressure that you're getting, like I know there's definitely been I've like countless jokes before, like it's not even, it's like such a, the thing is the problem is that it's like sometimes like you hear a joke or you hear like whatever, like, oh, he's eating chicken, like this kid or whatever. Yeah, it's just like, it just gets annoying, and then like, I just don't engage with it, like I never, for me, like whenever I experience something like that, I never like spoke out against it, because there's no way to like really tell, like, oh, is he's just joking, right? Like, should you just leave?
But it's not a joke. It's not a joke because they keep doing it. So it's a microaggression. They just it keeps going, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to push you to react.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They want that you to react and then for them to laugh. But at a certain point, it's like you just gotta just start checking people. Because I actually, now that you say that, I remember something that happened in my chemistry class. Like, I was told to stop monkeying around on 2 separate days. And I popped off on the kid for saying that. He's like, oh, my bad, it wasn't directed to you. It doesn't matter who's directed to. Don't say that.
Yeah, just don't say that.
Don't say that. Like, but also that's an example of like, what I was trying to hark on y'all was to like, y'all have to really speak up, because when y'all just like, this is not a diss to you at all, Reggie, but like, when y'all just continuously let them, say it, and y'all don't react, that's worse than actually popping off at somebody.
Because they gonna think it's
Because if
okay
you
to
pop
be
off,
with
if you get mad and frustrated on them, that's a small campus. People are gonna turn their heads and be like, "What was said?" You do that anyways.
Everybody's gonna know.
It brings attention to the situation and to that person to be like, "Yo, you cannot say this," But then, I feel like you guys also have black people on campus, which is good. You have the Dr. Traxlers, the Mr. Browns, the, now President Adams. I don't know if he's that involved in school life as he was. You have the Mrs. Holloways. But you go to those people and you lean on those people who can help you, navigate these kind of issues that you experience on a day-to-day, and help you go to the Utleys and be like, this is what's happening. Something needs to change. And also for me, I wasn't alone in just having the faculty on my side. I had my mom. My mom don't play. Like, when it comes, hey, black moms in general don't play. Like, I don't play. Stay on there to the day I die. It's also my mom's birthday today, so happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
But as I say that, every time, and I would tell my mom about all these instances that would happen, and there she go, emailing, texting, being like, what's going on? But she was always harking on Utley all the time about stuff that was going on. When I had a situation in my AP US history class, I actually wrote my essay on my college essay on this issue. She was at the forefront of it, making sure people got punishments. And I feel like also something I can tackle myself is the punishments these kids get for doing stuff to us is not helpful.
Slap on the wrist, pretty much, yeah.
Anything. Having them, my biggest thing was having them go to Mr. Brown and do that whole OEI, rehabilitation thing doesn't solve the issue in my eyes. After having many instances with different people having to go through that process, because it'll just end up, I don't know if any of you guys had gotten letters from people that have done things to you after going through this program. In my opinion, it's just, it hurts more. It hurts a lot.
Yeah.
Seeing those letters, because people don't really care about it. So I think the system at Loyola in terms of dealing with racial issues needs to change. I don't know how, and all I said was that's what I told my mom when I was writing my speech. I said, I'm trying to plant the seeds of change. I know I won't see them as a graduate of Loyola High School, but I'm hoping that in that speech that I said to y'all when I got my award, I'm hoping that in some way, one of y'all grabbed a hold of some part of that and said, yeah, something needs to change. And I'm willing to step up and step into Dom's shoes or anybody's shoes, you know, figuratively and metaphorically, and enact this change. Cause I'm just trying to create a snowball effect of change. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that's a good intention, Dom. I'm happy we're gonna circulate this throughout the campus on our podcast. So it's a good message you're trying to get across.
Yeah, bro, like, I just, like, kind of reflecting on this whole thing, like, I see, like, one thing, like, when you were here, did you notice, like, sort of like an increase in the Black freshman population? Because I feel like I've sort of seen that as I've gone here. Like, I remember Mr. Chappelle also mentioned that, like, it was just like this whole.
Yeah, you have a lot. You always got a lot.
Yeah, so I think that's in my mind, that's a step in the right direction, because when I think of a way to solve the issues of, like, equity and inclusion and making sure that everyone has, like, a seat at the table, everyone, feels safe to be in these spaces, I think of, like, literally just like that, like figuring out the ways to sort of increase the, population of these students in order to, like, so that they feel more, like, comfortable in these spaces, at least that they have someone to reach out to, and they don't feel like, oh, they're kind of, like, held to be, like, stuck, almost feeling isolated a little bit, right? Like, maybe, speaking on, like, well, I mean, yeah, just like, in general, that's just kind of the only thing that I thought of. Like, even, like, with OEI, like, I don't feel like I have, like, the reason why I haven't really done it, mainly was because, like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna bring to the table. Like, there's nothing that I can really think that's unique. So, like, what would you say, like, beyond making it easier for people, like people of color, for, Black people especially, to, come to Loyola and feel welcomed, like, what would you think is, like, an idea or, like, something that could possibly help make that a reality, I guess is.
Brown and I talked about this, and we didn't do it last year, but doing something off campus. Like, there's a huge presence of Black Loyola kids from Ladera, Baldwin Hills, where I'm at, Inglewood, and, like, at various spots. So, the parents and at least when I was there, always came together as parents, but we never did anything all together as just a group of Black students that go to Loyola, which I feel like something we should have done. Because I also felt like I didn't really have the strongest connection with a lot of the Black kids at Loyola during my time there. But definitely doing stuff off campus to already cultivate that brotherhood, because I feel like when you on campus and you dealing with all the stuff that's happening, it's hard to build that community and really, like, lean on each other when you guys are all in your own, worlds and little pockets doing, your AP classes or all your sports and extracurriculars. It's hard to bridge that gap, because everybody's so busy. So taking time off campus to really, like, cultivate a bro naturally, and then, that same brotherhood translates to campus. So when you on campus, it's not just a head nod, but it's a head nod and then a dap, and then it's like, what class you going to next? And it's a short, little 5-minute conversation, and then you meet somewhere. Like, if you're going to lunch, but you really have to do the work outside of the campus, if that makes sense. But I would say I meant to touch on another point before. I don't know if parents of incoming freshmen or parents of current students will hear this, but I just wanted to share this too.
Yeah.
The stuff that your kids will go through at Loyola as a Black student, you need to ask, like, truly press them in the sense of just checking on them, because a lot of times if you go through Loyola and you matriculate alone, your experiences won't necessarily be brought to light if you're not talking about it, So when Black students experience instances of racism at Loyola, you really have to help be in their corner and drive the school to enact change and enact policies that switch this, because without that, they're gonna end up transferring. I just remember, and this is not just a issue of racism, but a lot of Black kids be transferring out of Loyola. And I know it's a race issue, but it's also a sports issue.
Yeah.
And my other subject of that is also, we have to shift the narrative from Black students, and this is what I was trying to do. It's not just about sports. We're not all athletes,
Exactly.
you know.
And
I did run track at Loyola, but I also was in theater. You know, I was in pretty much almost every production at Loyola, but also did a lot of service. You know, so there's other outlooks for Black kids to achieve, but also if they do the sports, don't just make sports your number one thing. I get how competitive it is. Loyola is super competitive about it, but there's so much more to the school that I feel.
Just cut out.
Bro, this time left thing is gonna be annoying too.
Yeah. We'll restart.
80 Black students in total.
Oh.
That's 5% of the total population.
Wait.
Oh, Dom. You cut out for a minute.
Yeah. So
it was on
What was the last thing I said?
about the
athletes.
Yeah, something like
with the
don't
sports.
just focus on sports.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, don't just focus on, don't just be an athlete. Don't just be known as an athlete as a Black student. Be known as anything you want. Be creative, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, but I think, yeah, I think that's just the culture that needs to be brought to campus, and the fact that like you can be involved and you know, be a collective without just being an athlete. And I know it's competitive, it's Loyola, but really just harking on the fact that they can just be, they can be anything, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, now Dom, you've talked a lot about your experience of racism at Loyola. Why don't we have Rob touch on his a little bit, like, you know, as a current student here as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna say sorry, because I know you transferred.
Yeah.
Into a job. Yeah.
Oh, you transferred. Okay.
Yeah, so I wanted to like touch on that specifically. Like I know it's gonna be hard as like a Black man come to Loyola if you come from like, oh, like you're the only one from your school or whatever, right? But also like coming from the Bay Area, coming to Los Angeles, like all this type of things. Like, what would you say is like sort of, you know, your experience with racism? What was it like at your old school? Like that whole thing. Like, sort of walk us through that.
Okay, so my old school was St. Ignatius College Prep in San Francisco, and it was pretty similar to, I would say it is pretty similar to Loyola. The only major difference is it's co-ed, so it's boys and girls, but it's still that Jesuit, predominantly white, rich white kids type of vibe. So I pretty much knew how to handle that because I had my friend group, and we also had we had a little strong Black Alliance group that we would go to if we were ever needed that
way, yeah.
feel some type of way, or just needed that support group. We would have that spot. So that was cool for me. And so coming to Loyola, like you said, all those feelings, new kid, new city, all that stuff. So I remember when I walked in first day at my first class, it was with McClanahan, it was English 2. And then I walk in, everyone's looking, and then I just see, thankfully, thanks to God, I see a seat in the back, and it's near this one kid. I don't know if I remember, Sean Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
You were, yup. So I was able to go with him, chop it up with him, and I was just blessed that first class I'm going to, I have a Black kid that I can talk to and get to know and all that stuff. And I remember we had to do some sort of activity. We had to go outside and walk around the track, and I was just chopping up with Sean. And he was like, yeah, man, this school is a lot of heavy racism involved. And he even told me, like, he said literally when you walked in, there were some kids saying, oh, there's another Black kid going this, like another Black kid. Oh, they got another Black kid here. So it's like, oh, dang. So I already knew, and I already figured that was the type of environment I'm getting into. But I mean, so far, in 2.5 years I've been here, it's been cool. I'm not gonna say it was just smooth sailing. Obviously, it has its ups and downs, but I was able to find that support group with Black people, and knowing that Loyola has not every Black kid operates the same through Loyola. I noticed that. I have some Black friends who, real talk, I'm the only Black friend that they talk to at Loyola, and I'm obviously some Black friends that everybody's cool with. So just navigating the waters through that, and just knowing who to talk to, Mr. Brown, Dr. Adams, all that. So yeah.
Yeah. So have you had any like specific experiences though that you can speak on? You don't have to, you know, if you can't think of one, but like how'd you handle something specifically?
I guess when I took AP US history last year with Mr. Perkins, and I was the only Black kid in that class, and like I remember sometimes I would answer questions. If I get it wrong, you hear smirks and comments and all that. And so it's just that added pressure being the only black kid in the AP class. So
oh my god.
Did your teachers ever like step in or intervene if they noticed something?
not really, because it was more along the lines of they were just trying to just get the class going, just brush
Okay.
past it. And again, it wasn't really nothing major where they had needed to step in, but yeah, they would just ignore it, try to.
But it definitely like hurts your learning if you're constantly like if you have to deal with stuff like
Oh,
that
for
on a
sure.
daily basis.
Yeah, it did hurt, but at the same time, I knew what I was here for. I was trying to get a good grade out the class, so I was not trying to let that little
Okay.
stuff affect me or try to stop me from the overall goal.
Yeah. I just another thing I think about is like like do you also deal with like some things with teachers or like even staff whatever?
Yeah, I get that too sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I should wonder is Donna also, but we'll just both of you guys like sort of like because in my experience like I've definitely had some teachers that like I get like I'm not gonna say like outright like they're this or that, but like you just get a weird vibe or even with some students too like
That's who you
you
are.
just can't really tell like how they behind closed doors like what they really think about you
Yeah.
so that's something that I think about and I mean like for the most part, I just like, I just, just ignore it, right? Just go on, go about your classes, do good, go, find things that you like to do. And then like these other things, like worrying about, this teacher, he, whatever, he said like offhanded comment to me before, it's like, it's sort of like, that's sort of my way of dealing with it. But like, how have you guys sort of dealt with that? If you have, gone to Rob, we can start.
If it's with a student, like Dom said before, just make sure it don't happen again. Because at the end of the day, I know it can be seen easy just to brush it off and stuff like that. But at the same time, if you don't stand up for yourself or you don't say nothing, they're just gonna keep doing it at the end of the day. So like, shoot. Actually, I think one time I did have to confront one of the kids who said something, and then I pressed them about it, and they never did it again. So just standing up for yourself in situations like that. And with a teacher, when they say, I know what you mean when they say like those underlying comments or they take like those type of jabs at you. Yeah, it's just something you just gotta.
That's a bit harder.
Yeah, exactly. You can't say nothing. You can't say nothing to a teacher, obviously, but yeah.
You know what you say, no? Yeah.
I agree with that. I feel like it was harder to really like press teachers about it because they have repertoire or people know about them
Exactly.
in Loyola. But for that, I would just go to Mr. Brown and be like, this is what was said, but it would be a lot of like, it would be things that would be said that people don't realize have direct meaning, but mean it harmlessly to them, but don't really know how it really affects us. So like, but I'm not trying to be a teacher. Like, that's not my job. My job is not to teach you what constitutes racism. I just feel like you should have as an adult, you should have the moral compass to be like, yeah, that's not, you shouldn't say that.
Yeah, exactly.
But some people just don't,
Yeah, I mean, do you guys feel like some of the programs at our school are targeting this racism or this ignorance on racism? I think we've had like some of our CY programs have been working a little bit more on that. Like last year, we had a lot focusing on like Black history and the history of like Black oppression, and they were like, and it like it was definitely a really last year. So I don't know if you guys had experienced that because maybe it started after you had CY too.
What was it? See it again? What was CY2? I don't.
It was like last year while I was a sophomore. There was like they were focusing a lot on like Black history.
I think I do kind of remember this a little bit, but yeah, I mean that's another thing that I think about with like the initiatives to try and deal with that. Because a lot of like I can imagine how many kids just like kind of go through the motions, do whatever they have to do, and then just like okay, it's over then, right? Like
like
you
just
don't
like
take anything out of it. And you just sat through this, presentation on Black history, So I see from that aspect where it's like, okay, this is kind of like, maybe this isn't, the best solution, but like, I guess I guess maybe it could help. The thing that I've been thinking about for like dealing with like equity like DEI on campus was I really like sort of what's happening here, like these type of conversations and being able to like talk about your experience at Loyola, and I really want to have something like that, like a black like African American Student Association podcast. I mentioned this to the when I forget which meeting it was. I think it was like the beginning of the year or like the end of last year actually. I said like during this, during February, during March, I want to have like a podcast where, black students can listen to it and hear about their experiences. Maybe, administrators, oh shoot, sorry. Maybe administrators or people who have, actual power at Loyola can kind of hear it. And then, from that, you can then gain like a better sense of like what needs to happen, And so like, especially when I think of like having these types of conversations, you can then like, you don't feel alone, listening to a conversation, listening to like whatever, we're talking about right here. Like you can then, you can realize that other people are having these thoughts in their head and it goes through their mind as well. And it's not just you, even if you don't like have a community of black friends that you really want to talk to or whatever, right? So there's always that, especially for those who are like almost matriculating on the outside of things, but almost don't feel comfortable in certain spaces, So that's just like one thing at Loyola that I feel like I wanted to leave my mark on and like kind of bring to like foster, brotherhood, like foster like these conversations, foster like, just connection in general, And so, yeah, I think I kind of wasn't sure if I wanted to air it out. But yeah, that's just something that I've been thinking about.
For sure.
And
That's a great idea, Reggie. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's but yeah, what would you guys say is like sort of the root cause of the sort of this lack of diversity? Is there really anything that you can tie it to, or is it really just a population numbers game almost? Either of you guys.
You want to go first, Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just think it's the whole stigma with Loyola, and Loyola has this stigma being this, we could be real preppy white school only for rich white kids, and so that type of environment.
Oh my God.
And most of these kids come from environments where they're not used to sharing classrooms with a lot of black people. So with them in this new environment,
it's a whole new thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're gonna like do some, if they're not comfortable with it, you're gonna do some weird stuff. So.
I mean, yeah, though, ever since Reggie proposed this topic, I've actually noticed that there's like I'll have classes where there's like 0 black kids or something. And there's like one of my classes, my A-push class, I think it has like 0 black kids, but there's like 3 of us Indian kids. It's like the concentrations are all like random. I'm sure that also influences like your individual experience in a class.
Yeah.
Because when it's like just one person of a type, and then some people feel like they can make more, they can be more brash with their racial commentary, because it's just like, oh, he's alone, Like I'm sure even like having 2 people can help with something like that.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then even like sort of, I imagine like assimilation, that sort type of thing, and then you also get like, I'm trying to say, like in these classes, you're gonna be almost representative of the entire black community. If you're the only person there in that classroom, like they're gonna be looking at you and comparing you and basically making you the sole like
speaker of all black people. Yeah.
You're the poster boy. You're the poster boy of the black community.
Oh, you don't know this? How you not know this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
I can say from my own experience, a lot of my classes, I was the only black kid in those classes.
Yeah.
Especially the APs. Like, I would just be like, yo, like, this is. And a lot of times, I would feel, to your point you made earlier, Rob, about like getting like answers or questions wrong. I definitely did feel that because like, especially in AP psychology, which I took last year, and AP and A-push as well, like a lot of times I wasn't necessarily the most confident in my responses.
So
like I really just took notes in class a lot of times. Or toward the end of the year, I would start being more out there because I was trying to get a review or catch up. But in the beginning, most definitely, like I was not trying to answer stuff because I'd already experienced those instances of people being like, haha, like, look at him.
Yeah.
Things like that. It was like sly comments. So like, and there's nobody you can fall back on and be like, are you experiencing this too? Because you don't know who else is taking APUS. And also I feel like the way the class dynamics are at Loyola, they really don't put black kids with black kids.
Yeah.
Or don't allow black kids to take upper classes. I remember one example, this didn't happen to me, but somebody had said that their counselor had said, their own counselor had said that they, in the class, I lost my train of thought, my fault. They weren't going to let them into an AP class or a higher bump. They said they didn't think they could do it. Now, as a counselor, you're there to support your students.
Exactly.
And help get them in the best possible position. So for you to then, just because, I'm going to say it's racially motivated, just because they black, you don't think they could achieve this higher range is baffling. Because you're supposed to be there for your student through all 4 years. I'm gonna do a quick shout out to my own counselor, Mr. Mayer. I miss that brother a lot. Him and Traxler, as well as all the other counselors that I was close with, Balthazar Motucci, who else? Bouzion, Farland, everybody in that office was so beneficial to me in my own one-on-one conversations. But definitely for Mr. Mayer, he always put me in the best possible position, and we had talked about balancing classes. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, no matter who your kid is, put them at the best possible position, but also be realistic to them. Especially as a senior, applying to college is all different types of things. But for the point about the classes, I definitely felt that.
Yeah, that's another thing I also wonder is like, because there's so many moments where you like genuinely can't tell if this was racially motivated or if it wasn't. It's like, oh, is this teacher like, or like, are they harking on me, or are they always like, or not even that. Like, I think of there was like an incident, I can't remember. My parents were talking about it. It was like something with a student and like a teacher, like some behavioral stuff, and they had really persecuted the student like really heavily, and he was a black student or whatever. But yeah, just things like that where it's like it's so hard to tell. Like, how can you ever really tell like whether or not it was purely racial motivated or if it was something else? Like it's just like, do you guys have like a way? Is it really just like based off of like how you feel after the moment, or what would you say, both of you guys?
Now, for you, what would make you think it's something other than racially motivated? Yeah, that would be my question.
Well, I guess when I think the moment was like the kid had done something like, oh, he went in like a drawer of like the teacher's desk or something. But like the punishment was really,
That's his wish.
yeah, that thing. Yeah. I forget. I don't know if that was or what happened, but my parents was talking to me about it. So
Yeah, and
Was this earlier this year?
it was this.
What was the punishment?
He got kicked out of school.
Oh,
That I feel like that situation.
Oh, yeah. So there you go. Prime example. So for us as black students at Loyola, I feel like the punishment for the things we do are far more substantial, or have far more our educational experience than those of our white counterparts. I will say that, because you could say one instance, a kid that had done something racially to me, pretty vulgar. In fact, this is the story about I wrote my college essay on, but he got suspended for 2 days and then got to come back, and then he had to write a letter and do the old yak process. And mind you, for us, if we act out or do something like go on a desk that we maybe shouldn't have, boom, you gone.
Yeah,
Or
questions
if
about
you
it.
pop off on somebody, you're gonna be you're gonna have a much worse punishment for doing that.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not good that you did that, but the punishment is where it is. Why are we just kicking out our black student population? Why can't we help our student population? If you're trying to help the white kids deal with the racism and give them less punishments when they hurt us, why are you going to kick us out? We're already a dwindling population. There's barely enough of us anyways. So like, for me, that goes back to the question that you had asked about, diversity, equity, inclusion in relation to bringing more black kids to Loyola. By you kicking us out for things that we're doing without actually addressing the issue and then trying to solve it and prevent it from happening in the future. That's what education is, and what helping, your student body grow
Exactly.
you gonna keep losing
Yeah.
black kids.
Look, if I
It's
yeah.
just the system.
Yeah.
The system keeps repeating itself over and over again. And without perfect policies in place, nothing's gonna go anywhere. I do recall my sophomore year, all the black parents came together with Mr. President Adams, and at the time, I think he was principal, and Mr. Brown. And they had written out on, those big sheets of paper that Mr. Brown has, and they write stuff on. So he made the parents do that about what policies they wanted enacted for us, for the betterment of us and our experience at Loyola. So they wrote out all those policies, and 2 years go by, nothing's happened. And my mom asked me, she was like, have they done anything with those policies? I was like, have you heard anything, from them? They were like, no. So like, again, like, these are structural issues that forever alter the day-to-day lives of black students at Loyola, but also how the entire school deals with us when we, mess up.
Exactly.
And it's just it puts us in a box. I always felt like I was in a box. Luckily for me and my experience, I never got jugged. I said when I came to Loyola, I was never gonna get a jug.
Really?
I didn't get a single. Yeah.
Now
I told my big brother at the time on that.
Yeah, I know I've seen you in Jug.
You were talking about jug. We were walking past the gym. He was talking about jug, and I said, I'm not gonna get a jug. And he's like, you probably gonna get a jug. I said, I'm not gonna get a jug. I graduated Loyola High School, not a single jug.
Wow.
But what I'm saying is these punishments that they give us, are more demeaning than they are to our white counterparts.
Yeah.
And it's just it now that I'm in college, I'm talking about, the school to prison pipeline and black students and black families, and how, how we develop in society, and how everything either leads us to a career or to jail from school.
Yeah. Or dead.
Just for acting out. They're not trying to rehabilitate us. They're trying to send us to the same system, go to the prison system and be in there for life. It's just, it's really messed up, and it's sad. And you can see that at Loyola. It's just, it's hidden beneath, a lot of stuff.
No, it's awful.
Gotta unravel.
It's awful to hear about this student getting expelled, because if I just draw on like a past, like some knowledge about like students getting, there were some students actually who last year during my sophomore year changed their grades on a teacher's laptop. In fact, and they didn't get expelled. And that's like, the double standards are honestly pretty crazy. Caring about it. No, going into a teacher's drawer is one thing. Yeah, it's an invasion of privacy, but going onto a teacher's laptop and changing your grade is so much worse. That's so much worse.
The population of faculty, I do remember at that period, was very on the fence because of how it was being handled. Because at the time, I think it was don't quote me on it, I think it was a Principal Adams at the time issue. And so it just kept getting dragged, and people didn't know if he was going to get expelled or not. And I think at the end, he did leave, because I actually was close to the kid that did it, or like one of the kids that did it. And then he I don't know where he's at now. I think he's at Cathedral. But yeah, it's just that you're right about Suvir about the double standard, because it's like, for us, we do something minor, or something that we can learn from if you take the time, but you really try to keep these. And I know why. I could tell you the example. I think when white kids do stuff, you gotta think money.
Yeah.
PWI. People got money. They trying to give money to Loyola in the schools, especially these families that have generations of
pipeline. Yeah, exactly.
Loyola.
Of course, they're gonna want to keep it.
You're not supposed to lose that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then you lose an alumni support. You gotta keep a school running. At the end of the day, it's a business.
It's a business, yeah. Which is the
high school is a business. They're trying to keep the lights on. They're trying to get you in and get you out, and get you a degree, get you your high school diploma, and get you to college. It's a business that never stops.
Exactly.
Exactly. More money in your pocket. More money to go then buy some houses down Pico Union, tear them down, make them parking lots, to then build something else in 10 years that we're not gonna see. My bad. That's a rant, but that's the story for now.
That's facts though.
But it's true. Yeah, it's true. But it's those two issues. It's white, and it's it's a PWI. They're trying to keep the lights on, and they trying to keep them people at that school. Versus for us, it's like, who knows? Could the black student be on financial aid?
Exactly.
And is it worth losing a kid to get some more money from that financial aid, to then not actually helping us stay here? But then you want to push having black students to come to Loyola and do all these things, but then the system continues to repeat itself. So it's like I'm hoping that President Adams, can bring in some more support in a lot of fields from the administration to, support from the board. But, it's a systematic issue that has plagued Loyola for years and years. Because I remember I did an OEI event with, I forget his name, but he just got his doctorate, an alum. And that was the first time he and his friends had been on campus in 15 years because of their experience. I met with them last year. And I got a copy from Mr. Brown of his dissertation that he did on two of his former classmates about their experience at Loyola. I'm just blanking on his name. Mr. Brown will probably give it to you. But I remember talking to them. But mind you, like, Loyola can scar us as black people. I didn't know if I was going to come back. I evidently did. I was back in December just to say hello. And I ran into you. But everybody has their own experience and if they choose to come back and not, but you got to address these systematic issues or else they'll keep, continuing as the years go on. It's just, it's really sad.
That is true. You brought on a great point how really, I think, real talk, besides President Adams, that's the only black alumni that we kind of see regularly on Loyola's campus, because we have a lot of teachers who are alumni, but obviously they're white. But that is true. You really don't see a lot of, or if you do, it's to speak for the African American Student Association luncheon in February. But other than that, it may be HBCU night, but other than that, you really don't see.
Y'all might see me. Well, you'll see me on campus, but they might see me on campus in September. I'm still free.
Yeah,
I might spend at HBCU night, but we'll see.
But yeah.
The episode's gone on pretty long. I'm thinking maybe like closing remarks. If you guys have any thoughts on like, I hope I'm not cutting too much off, right, Reggie? Did you have like?
I'm just trying to think. I think we're good. Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I think so. Just like closing thoughts on like on the whole thing, like what Loyola can do. I mean, Dom's voiced how he's tried to like change the school and like pass on the baton. Do you guys feel like,
What?
like do you feel like Loyola's like, I don't know, improved in the past few years? Do you think it's the same? What do you think we can do? I mean, at this school to fix it? I mean, I'm not saying that this like just one, people hearing about this is gonna change any, like not anything, but it's not gonna change everything at once.
Yeah.
I mean, it can definitely. I think on the podcast, definitely like the first step can be to like you guys were saying, like make people feel like they're not alone here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was gonna say, I think step in the right direction. Like I was a big brother, and I had two black little brothers, right? And so I kind of watched them, and I kind of noticed like a few things. Like, I got to see like them as freshmen. Like I see them around campus. They're kind of hanging around each other. I see like even outside of campus, like some of my like, because my dad's also an alum, and he has like some connections to the Black Alumni Society and things like that. So Parent Alumni Society, whatever. But yeah, so it's just seeing like, I think seeing that a little bit, I think I feel better. Like I think I feel better about the future of this community at Loyola. Like if you I guess in another episode I'll talk about it later, but in the past there definitely, like, at least when my dad was going to Loyola, there was a community, and I think it's starting to come back. Like there's a tighter community, like literally like a space, like an area of campus, like and I've seen that in certain spaces, like on the field. Sometimes I see it in the trackster's office, I see it wherever, right? But like there's possibility for that to come back, and I think that's a great thing, and I feel it, and I trust and I believe that it's going to be better. But yeah,
that's really good to hear. That's really
So
especially come on, but yeah, sorry, my bad.
Are you good? You good? Yeah, to go off that, I do, like Reggie, I do believe like it's getting stronger. I'm not saying racism is gonna magically go away overnight and everything's gonna be kumbaya. But I think slowly but surely having more talks like these podcasts is so kids don't feel alone. Kids don't feel need to keep everything in. Because that's the thing too. Like, obviously we all go through similar experiences, and bottling it in, that at the end of the day, that won't help anything, and I'll just make it worse. So having people to talk to about these situations, and also having, like you said, different type of areas around the campus where we can
Yeah.
hang out with each other.
Just hang out. All
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Understand we gotta cut it down. So.
Yeah. Dom, did you have any final thoughts then?
I really appreciate y'all, bro, Reggie, for hitting me up about this opportunity. It was a great conversation. For real. It's good to tap in with y'all boys again. Rob, I'm gonna see you.
You'll see me in April too.
I'm gonna try to. Yeah. You'll see you first week. Yeah. It's still yeah. Hit me up when you come out here.
For sure, I got you.
But yeah, a lot of these issues, you know, just it takes time, and you have to start the conversation. It's important. It's an important topic. And if y'all need me, you know, anytime, I'm here. You know, just hit a brother. Also, I can tap in with EJ and Chaz, who are also here as well, if you want their perspective on anything. But really, thank you guys for this opportunity. I appreciate it. This was really cool.
No, thank you, Dom, for coming on, and thank you, Rob, as well, for coming on.
Appreciate y'all boys.